Welcome, everyone. It's good to see all your faces. If you're able to, please turn your cameras on and join us. Love to see the smiling faces. Welcome to the third feedback session of themedattraction.com Student Showcase. This is our last feedback session. At the end of this session, I'm going to hand things over to Freddie, who is going to announce all of our award winners. So please stay tuned for that. We have 9 projects to review today. We have 3 of our 5 panelists for this section available to chat with us today. We're hoping maybe Alicia can join us. Lewis is not able to join us. His feedback will be, everybody's feedback will be sent to you in a document. We certainly wish Lewis the best, and we thank him for his participation. And again, hopefully we'll see Alicia here today. Let's take a moment to introduce our panelists in no particular order, just in the order on my screen. We'll start off with Bob Ward. Bob, please say hi and just tell us a little bit about yourself.
Hello, everyone. It was a real pleasure to participate in this adventure. Quickly, I guess I have more than 50 years in the business. Most people know me quite a bit due to my Universal days. I was the 4th individual hired back in 1980 when they were thinking about creating a theme park. The company was not in the theme park business, it was in the studio tour business. And no one from the chairman, Lou Wasserman, down knew anything about the theme park business, nor did I or anyone else. I happen to have a fine arts degree from Florida State. So, but somehow I became the head of planning and design and laid out the first park, conceptualized E.T., Jaws, and all the attractions, went in the field and helped build it. And then that led to the expansion in Orlando and working internationally to lead our charge into Osaka, Japan, and Beijing and Singapore. I've been gone for about 15 plus years or so, but still am active in the business. And so I'm delighted to be part of this. Thank you all.
Thank you, Bob. We appreciate you being here. Let's go next on my list. Let's go over to Freddie Martin.
Hi, I'm Freddie Martin. I'm a project director at Storyland Studios. I get to work on little projects and big projects, of everything from a patriotic, timely, because of tomorrow, theme park in South Dakota, and a story garden park in Nashville, which none of you have been to, but maybe have been in your minds. I'm also the host of the Themed Attraction podcast with my co-host Mel McGowan, and we have a great time thinking through our industry and what are the innovations and stories that need to be told for future generations. So I'm happy to be here too with this great group.
Thank you, Freddie. We appreciate your time. Okay, let's roll over to Alicia has joined us. Hi, Alicia. Thank you for joining.
Hi, sorry late. Hi, everybody. Good to meet you. My name's Alicia Hungerford. I'm a senior creative producer at BRC Imagination Arts. We've been around for a while, and I've been there for about 10 years now. And my background is kind of more in the liberal arts than it is in the creative arts, but I've been able to kind of hone in on how we work with brand clients and identifying kind of really how we speak to audiences and linking those, big ideas brands have with, being disruptive, and they always have buzzwords, and really honing in on the heart of the audience. So we do a lot of that at BRC in our storytelling, and it's been great to see all the work that everyone on this call actually has been doing. So amazing to be here.
Thank you, Alicia. Appreciate your time. And Frank, how are you today? Jump on. You are.
Hello, everyone. Francisco Nunez, wave if you can hear me. We have duct tape internet connection. We're on vacation, but this is very important to invest into future talent. And so I have audio on my phone and video, just hello, which is going to go off so that we have actual connectivity and be able to participate in the rest. So honored to meet all of you. Super inspired by all of your work, how intentional you're being with your careers. For those that don't know me, I am the founder and president of Franken Design, a creative design firms that works with Disney, Universal, BRC, Thinkwell, Hedema, Falcons. We are the minions behind the scenes, just doing Revit and making their ideas come to life. We are not creative. We work with creatives. They write the music and we play it. We're part of the orchestra. So I'm here to see it from a technical aspect, your presentation, your skill set, the storyline. That'll be Freddie, Bob, Jamie, Dave, Nate. But I'm here to discuss and give critiques and feedback on presentation, skill set, and how you arrive there. So very honored to be here, and great work to all of you from the heart.
Awesome. Thank you, Frank, and thank you for taking time out of your vacation. It's very generous of you. Appreciate it. Before we roll into the feedback sessions, I want to give a shout out to Jesse Cam and Nate Naverson, who helped organize this program, put in a lot of time and effort in collecting the panelists, scheduling all these sessions, processing all the feedback, the scoring. It is a giant effort, and we appreciate you folks doing that on a volunteer basis and giving back to the industry. So thank you, Jesse and Nate. Great work. Okay, let's, before we begin the feedback sessions, just a little bit of procedure. We have 9 projects to review. We're gonna spend roughly 9 minutes apiece reviewing those. I'm going to keep track on time. I'm going to call time when we get there, and I apologize if I'm going to cut anybody off, but we're going to keep things moving forward. For all of the participants, the students in the room, I think it's important to recognize that you're all engaged in different curriculum. You all have different focuses. All of these projects maybe had different prompts and required deliverables. So generally speaking, it's a little challenging for the panelists to compare apples to oranges here, but they all did their best to score you against a rubric of criteria. So just know that sometimes the comments may seem like they're not 100% aligned with what you were doing, but without knowing exactly what the prompts were and what the assignments were, the panelists all just are trying to give you their best take on the feedback. So take that with a grain of salt. And at the end of the your feedback session, we'll try to give you a few minutes to ask questions or offer up comments. And lastly, I'll just go ahead and channel our friend and colleague, MK Haley, who also spends a lot of time helping us coordinate this program, and say that this is an amazing networking opportunity you have here in front of you. You should all be reaching out on LinkedIn to all of these people on the call, all of the panelists, the educators, and each other. This is your network. This is your cohort. You're all going to be working together someday. Maybe you already are. And so this is an awesome community. So get connected, stay connected, reach out, and let's all work together. Okay, Nate, do I have the ability to share screen? I do not. Let's do that. And we are going to start with Cryptic Lakes. Are there students here from the team of Cryptic Lakes?
You are
Yes,
the
I'm
host now,
here.
so you can share now.
Gotcha.
I'm here representing me and Mike Strong.
Awesome. Thank you, Carlin. Is it Carlin? Did I get that right? Awesome.
Exactly right.
All right, are you folks seeing my screen? Sweet. Okay, so I'm just going to kind of scroll through this as the panelists talk. I will randomly call on you panelists to go ahead and chime in and just give us a couple sentences of feedback here. Let's start with Bob. Bob Ward, please.
Well, a couple of quick comments. On the storytelling piece, it was more descriptive than a story. You sort of described individual pieces and parts. So I would say that also organize your thoughts with, what are the big headline experiences or moments, and what other secondary activities help build a greater critical mass to the story. Think about things when you're laying out the plan, which is something you haven't had the experience to do yet, but For instance, where is the diner? Perhaps it's by the water. Perhaps it's by the water closer to where the entrance is, so people that can stop by and eat at the diner. Or there's a activity center, but there's not a lot of descriptions about all the different activities. There were just pieces and parts, actually. I thought the game idea was good. So there are some highlights.
Awesome. Thanks, Bob. Who wants to jump in? Freddie?
Sure. I really loved the originality of bringing camping, taking a camping experience and then adding the magic of themed entertainment into the process. I thought that we haven't done that. We've got our glamping resorts and treehouse resorts, but haven't seen so much that people are diving into the cool storytelling aspects. I would have loved to have seen more stuff going into what is, we look at the site plan and you say, oh, there's a Bigfoot village. Show me more about Bigfoot village. I want to know about that. Or the Museum of Human Things. I'm just like, oh, I want to see the who's it's and what's it's and more in there. So my imagination was sparked by it, but would have loved to seen those kinds of descriptions. But I really felt like, understanding that I'm going to be spending the night under the stars and then drawn into a story was really exciting.
That's awesome. Who wants to jump in next? Maybe Alicia?
Sure, yeah. Kind of harking on some of the same things that have been said. I thought you did a great job of illustrating and giving us kind of an idea of, I just thought it was really well developed overall. But I agree, I really was, and I rated it based on me wanting to know more. I was like, wait, it's over? So absolutely wanted to see kind of I would love to see soon, one day, more on kind of where you're going with this. And I think the level of detail, I'd love to see kind of a little bit more of the quirky details involved, to kind of give it that character, because we're very high level view. And sometimes just like one slide of all the little things kind of helps us see it come to life. But this was an amazing concept.
Thank you, Alicia. Always great feedback when people want to see more. How about Frank? Do you want to see more of this, Frank?
I definitely want to see more. I think that seconding everything that everyone said about the camping, it's also little known that that's kind of like it's fading with the family nucleus changing. A lot of families work so much more now. Mother and dad don't have enough time to take you out there. So even if it's a tale of when dad used to go camping as a kid, I think that an environment like this would be pretty cool just to introduce kids other than the REI store that's like this, where it's like an inside of a camping space and you can dream of what it could have been to be in the mountains, given that this is happening less and less in America. So it's really cool. But yes, it was a teaser. It was like, where's the rest of it? And I understand there's timing. And like you said at the beginning, we might have not fully understood the assignment. And maybe this was good for what the task was requested. On the graphic side, want to congratulate the artist. The way that some of the visuals, I can tell that there's a difference in visuals from the kit bashing and overlaid on a flat image to the perspective shots. But I like the feel of it. I want to sit down with that person and so many little tricks and hints that we can take from the pros to enhance those shots. But for student level work, I'm really happy with how they've composed things and trying to give us that POV. So good job on the graphics there.
Awesome. Very fun idea. We have plenty of time, about 4 minutes left. If Carlin wants to ask any questions or comments, or if any of the other, Dave, you want to jump in, please?
Yeah, and in all fairness, this wasn't in my set of projects to review, so I haven't spent a ton of time looking at it. But I mean, I agree. I love the idea. I love the concept. I do think it's a great concept. I completely agree with Bob. I think the one thing that could really tie this whole thing together is the fundamental story, right? A fundamental like storyline of why are we here? Why are the Bigfoots here? Like all the background to the story that would then start to talk to the things that like Alicia and the other panelists have talked about in terms of details, those details come from the story. And so if you can start with that story and understand how the story ties everything together, then all the other parts and pieces start to make a lot of sense and start to come together in a really cohesive way. But I love the idea. I love the notion. I've always wanted to design an exhibit about like mythical animals, and like you don't ever see them. You just sort of see hints of them, and like the bushes move and like things happen in the distance in shadow, but like it's a Bigfoot exhibit or like it's a unicorn exhibit, but like there's actually nothing there. So I think the notion of like a whole Bigfoot experience is really fun and has a lot of potential.
That's awesome. Carlin, did you want to jump in with any questions? We have a couple minutes.
Oh, I mean, thank you so much. That feedback is really great. I feel the same way. I just wanted to spend more time on this project and flesh it out. Was that Frank that you said you had you would want to talk to the artist and give some tips about how to make that even better? I would love to pick your brain about that. I don't know if you want to say that in 4 minutes or if I could book you for a one-on-one sometime. But I did the concept art. Or all the drawings, the original drawings for the project. So
Yeah, they were that good that makes us want to invest more. So we could probably do that on a one-on-one. We have the emails and through Nate or Jamie, and let's reach out. Let's do a quick session and just look
Great.
at some of the concept art, and we'd love to do that.
That would be awesome. Thank you so much.
Great.
All right. Well, that's a wrap on this one, I would say. Thank you, everybody. Let's move on to next up. And if everybody can see my tabs here, you can see the order that we're going to go in. So next up on the list is Xenos Cave, an otherworldly spelunking expedition. Is there anybody from this team on the call here today? Anybody?
Hello, yes. This is Aja Sidibe.
Hello, Aja. Thank you for joining us.
Thank you.
All right, let's kick it off. I'm going to go kind of random here. Let's see. Freddie, let's start with you this time.
Sure. I like this concept as well, that there's a mysterious cave that nobody knows the answers to what's in there, and the mystery of that really, it does dive in and makes you want to get excited. Some of my questions were to the reasoning behind it. We saw your brainstorming and storytelling ideas. I'm curious actually why Kentucky, and what the feasibility reasoning of this particular spot is, the location dedicated to it. And I also noted that it would be better to, let's see, that's not in there. Yeah. I would love to see what's more in the tunnels and what we're gonna discover. So I loved the focus on how the paths work and how we get to the different places all together. And would love, again, like the other one, I would love to see more description brought into it so that we really do follow through the story you're trying to tell. I can tell there's a story there that's getting deeper, but I didn't understand the why, and I wanted to understand more.
Very good, very good. Bob, what do you have on Xenos?
Well, I was, I think it's a very interesting concept. Again, I mean, this may sound like a repetitive thing with me through the course of the call, but I had a tough time trying to get my arms around the story and how it flowed, and high moments and curious moments and exploration moments and all those things. One thing that helped me though is the YouTube narrative that you did.
Mm-hmm.
Actually helped me a bit more with that than the actual art of the project.
Yep.
Very good. Who wants to jump in next?
I'll just say something else. Just, I think we're all reinforcing the importance of embracing a story and you don't have all the details in the beginning, but you do want to have a beginning, a middle, some adventure, and an end. And no matter how basic it is, try to get that nailed down, and it'll evolve. So it's not like, oh, I got to make this the one. It doesn't have to be the one, but it at least gives you a foundation to then start exploring the idea further and developing other ideas about it. So if you just sort of like a skipping stone, kind of skip on the story to get on into the rest of the process, you know, you'll be paying for it later on.
Mm-hmm.
Go ahead, Alicia, jump in.
Yeah, I think you know, everyone said it. The idea is super original here. You've looked at it from lots of angles, which is great, and it's awesome to see how you've taken a look at the schematic. You know, you've really taken a high level view of what this could look like. But I think, yeah, what's missing is the why. And I think especially when you're asking people, it seems like we're asking people to really step out of their culture, their comfort zone. Why? What is the reason? What's going to make them really do that? And that helps us understand like what the takeaway is here. I think that's what the why and the takeaway are, kind of those bookends back to what Bob was just telling us. Really helps us to understand, especially when you're asking for money, what's going to come out of it. So, but absolutely original idea here.
Awesome. Thank you, Alicia. Frank, what do you think?
Sticking to my thread of the technical side of it, it's breaking up really bad. So somebody tell me when to stop if you can't hear me. I'm looking for the best signal. Okay, so again, I love the leveraging of technology. I see the use of AI for some of the images. I'm all for it as long as it's not the driving factor and it's just being leveraged and you still have a lot of your self-produced effort. But it does add to the story in that sense of a visual aspect. But yes, I see there was a deep dive into the technical side of drawings, but just like Alicia said just a moment ago, it's the why, starting with what Bob had mentioned. But on the technical side, I see the intent for cohesiveness. There's a rapid going from the plan to the ISOs and kind of letting us understand it from multiple angles, which I appreciate, and I wish other case studies had done the same. A lot of resource material to kind of really embed us into this, and then the video being helpful as well. Thank you.
Awesome.
Yeah, I think one more point I was just going to add was I was looking back at my notes around the VR idea here. And I think just as a, you know, something to take with you is when we mention VR, it's definitely a buzzword and it's only important if it adds to the experience. So if we are going to mention VR, I'd love to know more about what they're going to see, hear, and do, and really why it's impactful to the experience. Because otherwise it becomes something that we invest a lot of money in and doesn't go anywhere. Because, you know, there's a lot with how people want to respond to whether, you know, you could go into it for days, but I think when we mention those buzzwords, we really want to get down in again to the why.
Absolutely, that makes sense. We have a few minutes left here. Aja, did you have any questions or comments for the panelists?
Yeah, I just wanted to say I completely understand. I accept you guys' critiques. I feel that there was a bit of like miscommunication while we were doing the project. We had like some people from like different majors that didn't fully understand like the concept of like what we were trying to do. But overall, I enjoyed making this project. It was very entertaining to do, and I just appreciate this whole situation. Thank you guys. And to answer Freddie's question about why it's in Kentucky, we wanted to do like an original IP address, so that's why.
Well, that's a reason.
Yeah.
So Aja, I would, given what you just said, let me say this. All of us on this call, any success that we're acknowledged to have had didn't happen just with us. It does take a village and it takes collaboration. And so your explanation about different team members and not getting this part or that part or all those kinds of things, that's true for all of us. I mean, that it happens as you get further into the industry, it takes on a greater importance. But what it does indicate is learn how to collaborate and get the other party on board with you about what you're doing, and try to understand why they're not getting it. And no matter where you go and apply this forward, that's really an important part of getting the team all on the same page. You want people with different ideas. You want people that go, what the hell are you mean about that? But have some dialogue about that. So I think it's a great observation by you, and I would encourage you to kind of explore how to get the team together.
That is
I agree. Thank you so much.
100%. Collaboration is the key. It's good experience for you, Aja. Dave, we'll give you the last word. You got 30 seconds. Go for it.
Oh boy. Okay. Real quick. I saw this on the group of projects that I reviewed too, and we talked a little bit about it yesterday. Just looking at like your schematic plans and stuff. I think it is really important for especially people who don't have architectural training or any type of real formal architectural background, to go look at the plans and the site planning, the master plans of existing attractions, and start to dissect them and really look at them so that you can start to understand the sizes of things, the relationships, the location of things. There is really not just an art, but also a science to the planning, the site planning, and the building plan of a guest experience. And if you don't have an architectural background, it will behoove you to go and research those things and look at existing attractions that you like and that you know work, and learn from those things, those plans.
Awesome. Great feedback, Dave. Thank you for jumping in. All right. Well, that's it for Xenos Cave. Thank you, Aja, for submitting and being present today. We appreciate it. Let's move on to Castile's radio missions. I see Sophie on the call here today. Thank you, Sophie, for joining us. I'll set this up just a little bit since it happened at Ringling College. This is a small experience embedded within a concept for an entire land. So this is one part of a really kind of a big group effort with 13 or 14 students. Sophie and Alex created this experience kind of overlaying an entire land. With that, let's jump into the feedback. Let's start with Bob. We'll start with you on this one. What do you think?
You know, this is, I really like this concept and idea very much. I thought you articulated the attraction experience. What I missed was, you know, what Jamie just said. It's part of a greater place of a land. And there was very little about the land other than the directory that said this number's here and that number's there. And so, again, it's context, as you've heard some of us say in the earlier conversations. You sort of have to set the scene, the place, and within that place is going to be this. And so again, it all comes back to that story setup. And so, but the idea was great. The use of text was great. I thought it had, you know, it had a great foundation to really be developed into something that would be pretty cool.
Awesome. Alicia, what do you think?
I would like to popcorn to someone else really quick as I get my head into what I think.
It's totally cool. Freddie, you want to jump on this?
Sure. I really did, like Bob said, I needed more about where this is and what part of the park experience this takes place in. However, I'm just thrilled to think of a merchandising opportunity to use RFID in a way that is going beyond the wands and swords that are out there, but to actually have interaction in a way that you can, and takes the phone out of my hand and puts my focus into the story. So I really loved that aspect of it. This is minor criticism, but partway through the project, it changed the voice. It was talking about the situation and then changed into we, and it just, you can have either or. It was just helpful to follow that along. So I thought that was great. I would like, I loved the history. This is a time and place. I just got back from Italy, and I felt some of these places coming to life through this story. The little shops, the little restaurants, it just, and the time and place is really unique and fun.
Awesome. Frank, you want to chime in on this one? Possibly. Frank.
You mentioned he's having some trouble cutting out and so on. I'll dive in.
Oh,
I think
there it
like
is.
building on that point, Freddie, I love, we hear so much around the importance of going and seeing something and then bringing those really authentic pieces and cultural elements back to the space. So love that you already, incorporated that into your designs. I love storyboarding, so I'm really into where you've gone with that. It's always great, especially when you're speaking in this tone of voice, to be able to illustrate what we're seeing and doing. So, and the references are great. So really cool ideas coming out here.
Awesome. Yes, oh, here comes Jesse again. Yeah, I'm noticing Frank chimed in on the chat that he's having some connection issues. So that's totally fair, Frank.
You must be somewhere really cool.
If only we could all go to a place where we cannot get connected and just unplug. That'd be amazing. Okay, let's see. Anybody? Do we still have Dave? Sometimes Dave likes to jump in on. Dave's here. He's okay on this one. All right, great. We have a few minutes left. Sophia, any questions or comments you want to jump on for anything here?
Yeah, of course. So first of all, thank you guys so much for your incredible feedback. It's awesome to have you guys here and get critiques and suggestions from you guys. I definitely agree with a lot of the feedback about having context for the land. I was unsure of how to incorporate all of that story and world building without linking our entire, I think 144 slide PowerPoint. That was the entire land concept treatment. I wasn't gonna submit or make anyone have to go through that. It's very hefty. So I would love maybe some suggestions on how you think that I could maybe better incorporate some of that context in a pitch scenario. Just because obviously we have the kind of brief overview that I tried to do. I was touching on what I thought were the major points, but I'd love to know what you guys thought I was missing and how I could improve on that.
This is something that I still struggle with sometimes as you present to people that some of them have never seen it before. Some of them have seen it 100 times, and yourself, sometimes we call it the curse of knowledge, when you know all these things and you recognize that your audience doesn't. And so I think the keys to that are identifying your who, your where, your when, just, Bob mentioned the keys of storytelling, your beginning, middle, and end. You really are, when you're pitching, telling a story. And so starting with those core, even just telling us who your audience is and what they care about helps us to understand, to get kind of put our shoes in that place. And then identifying, what you're trying, kind of just taking the big picture, take a really 50,000 foot view and take us down into it, I think is, but it's always very difficult to take a bunch of slides and bring it down into something more cohesive. But I would say definitely take it from a storytelling perspective and get those foundations to start.
And Sophie, I'll jump in too, with what Alicia's saying, but I'd also say, don't make it such a big mountain to climb that you find yourself struggling on the mountain and you're not getting anywhere. So it can be as simple as a page or several paragraphs, or it's just imagine this. There's this place, and this is its character and everything else, and within that place there is this story, and so it can be as simple as that. So, but so don't get hung up on it, but don't overlook it, because as I said on something else before, you pay for it down the line, because the reader, the people experiencing it are asking that question all the time.
Yeah.
So you don't want them doing that.
Yeah, I think we naturally can, once we know something, if we say we're going to put something in Fantasyland, people get an idea of where we're going, and that's like because of native knowledge. But yeah, and I understand the struggle, because the focus is on Castile's radio store and not on the bigger project. So I know that you attempted it. What was tough to do was really understand what the whole story was, what the grander story was that this fits into. Once that's passed, it's like thrilling to go through what you've got here, because it's a fun concept.
Not to be like, did anyone read, but I did hyperlink my 10-page story treatment, and I don't was that an okay thing to do, or should I try to make that information more prevalent just in the general body of the
I would say so. I'm looking at it now and realizing I didn't read it, and I'm looking forward to reading it. And I think it was the fact that it was one little blue link in a big, so it would be great to have highlighted that in the same way that you've highlighted some of your other things.
Okay, cool. Thank you.
And Sophie,
Apologies.
I did happen to look at it. It's one of the reasons I really liked your concept. And I think what you're hearing us all say is that's absolutely great to have. But when you have sort of a summary pitch that you're doing, you have to work on finding a way to consolidate the highlights of that and still making sure it's in that initial summary. Because if you're successful there, they're going to read the whole thing.
Yeah.
Gotcha.
They'll look for more information.
Thank you guys so much.
Yes,
Thank you.
Thank you all. Thank you, Sophie. We're at time on that one. I may just jump in as a matter of procedure. When we first started this program, we required everybody to submit a video where you pitched it and explained it. Maybe this one would have benefited from Sophie actually pitching it and giving us that kind of like quick story pitch in the background. Maybe we'll move to that again next year. That's an interesting note. All right, awesome. Let's move forward to Big Al from the University of Alabama. Do we have anybody here from the team who created Big Al?
I'm here representing my team.
Awesome. Hi, Zach. Thanks for joining us.
Hey.
Let me go ahead and start the timer here, and I'll open it up to who wants to jump in first.
Well, I will. Zach, pleasure to meet you. I was thrilled that there was a concept that was based on engineering and fabrication. And again, that just underscores what we talked about earlier. I wrote in my notes that, this concept's really not one to take forward, but to build on and move on to the next thing, because you clearly learned a lot with this. You got into it by engaging and doing it and figuring it out. It created all kinds of new information that would be really applicable to the next thing. Because this is, in essence, it's a pretty basic idea and a basic presentation, which is great. And I think it was well done from an engineering standpoint. So I'd really want to just build on that and not try to evolve this one further, take that experience and jump into the next idea.
That's awesome. Thanks, Bob. Freddie, what do you think?
I got a kick out of it. There's a fun tongue-in-cheek thing by making your It's a Small World guy into the elephant, which I thought was really fun. And I'm sure people loved seeing it when you brought it out for school pride and all of that. And I did love the under the hood stuff. I loved going into the back of the head and seeing that. And thank you for making the videos. You'll want to think in presentations later, you'll want to think about the time of the people that you're sharing it with. And so, most of the time we get an hour, maybe 2 hours to present a smaller concept and things like this. And so to play the whole song for us wasn't necessary. You get a little snippet in there. Would have been great. Just fun idea. Every time the horns came in, I really wanted his trunk to go up. It would have been fun to see his trunk do the thing when the horns were going. But yeah, like Bob said, it's a great engineering project to begin from, and then take this knowledge now, and you're going to be able to do all kinds of fun stuff.
Awesome. Alicia?
Yeah, I think this is a great exercise in, again, knowing your audience. I loved that you had a world of things you could have built, and you decided to go with something that you thought people would resonate with, and also take it to a level that was, a little bit different and showed more about who you are and what you're doing. So really loved that. Everyone's, points were really great. This is definitely something to build on, but it's quite an accomplishment to really dive into all those details and understand, the inner workings. But I think it's also explaining to others the inner workings, because right now we're in a world where we see a lot of fancy stuff that looks great, and we just, consider it magic and move on because, it's just like, wow, cool, VR, right? And we just move on. But there is so much intricate work that goes into these things, and, one little wire and stuff. So I love that you kind of can show that in this, because it's rougher. And it shows us how intensive this process is, and the world of range that you can really accomplish with it. So I think it's a great place to start with your audience.
That's awesome. Not sure if Frank is reconnected or able. If you want to jump in, please do. We have a few more minutes on this one. Zach, any questions for the panelists while we're all here?
Oh, I just want to thank you guys so much for the feedback. This project was, first time designing an animated figure was a lot of learning new things. And we had some issues were things with coding. For example, one of the problems we had with was the figure. We didn't have anyone who was very proficient in thoroughly coding the figure on our team. So we tried coding it with ChatGPT. And one of the problems with coding Arduino and ChatGPT is that it uses a function to delay things called delay. But the problem with this function is, instead of just pausing something, it stops all functions for a certain period. So two things can't be going at the same time when it uses this function to either smooth a motion or to have a motion be put on pause. So one thing you'll notice in the videos is only one function is going at a time, which was not the original intention, but that was just a limit we later learned due to our use of the ChatGPT software.
Great. The learning is part of the process, which is great. Also, I went back to my Big Thunder Mountain days, and this is simplification of the control box is essential when you're having people run whatever your attraction is. And I really appreciated the simplification on the operator end, especially the safety issues. If this little guy was to, start walking off and chasing after me with the football, you'd really want to hit that stop button. Or if there's hands in the back of him, you want to have that. So I loved it. I love the e-stop.
Thank you.
Zach, that's a great observation that you're only moving one thing at a time. As a former professor of animation, you're touching on an animation principle, very important, overlapping action. And if you can get that into your next one, it's going to make things look even better. I also commend you. I'm noticing on your write-up here that you started a TEA club at your school. Congrats on that. Sophie here on the call was a recent president of our TEA group. Reach out to the other schools and the other TEA groups and network. It's a great way to build your network. So good job on that as well.
Thank you very much.
All right. I think we'll wrap on this one then. And let's move forward to the Lorenz Attractor. Do we have anybody from that team on the call today? The Lorenz Attractor.
Hi, I'm Allison. I'm representing the team who worked on this.
Awesome. Am I saying Lorenz correctly?
Yeah.
All right, great, great. Okay, let's start the timer. And Alicia, let's have you go first on this one. What do you think?
Okay, let me look back at my notes. Yeah, I thought this was like so thorough. Really understanding like all the different angles you've pulled into this. The theme for the coaster is cool. This kind of blend of mathematics is really impressive. And I don't know, I was really impressed with how far you went into it. And I'm sure this had a lot to do with the project you were already working on. But yeah, I was really impressed. I didn't have tons of critique or anything because I'm not as great at the technical stuff. So I was like, wow, cool, awesome. Anybody else?
Yeah, I thought it was really cool too. I'm thinking in terms of presentation and how we got to this, and I feel like your storyboarding and telling of what's behind the story that the guest is going to experience is important to have up front. Like we were talking about in the previous one, help us understand where you're going with this and why you're excited about the Lorenz Attractor and why that's exciting. I mean, everybody loves a roller coaster, but get me into that story early on and help me to believe in the story so that when I'm on the ride through, right? The ride through came first. When I'm on the ride through, give me the background first so that I'm drawn in and ready for that. Now, if a client is coming to you and say, build me a coaster that eats up this many people per hour and has this many records broken so we can attract people to the park, well, that's all they're asking, then yeah, the story comes later. But if you've got a client that's looking for something that's going to have a lifetime of storytelling attached to it, then begin there.
That's great, Freddie. Thank you. Let's see who else. Sorry, I lost track. Bob, did you comment on this one?
I haven't. I really, I saw it as, obviously, as we've acknowledged, a ride segment. I didn't really understand the premise behind this section of the ride, but I totally liked the effort and what it represented and what you learned from it. But that's all I can comment on.
Gotcha. Yeah.
Going back to the themes you just had on the screen, I think these are really interesting. I'd love to hear, from you on exploring these themes and, what made you go the directions you went. I thought they were kind of, the references are really great and they came from so many different angles. What did your team really get drawn to?
Should I answer this right now or wait?
Sure.
Oh, sorry, we're on a time limit. Never mind.
Okay, I wasn't sure.
Yeah, you're good. We
I can.
Plenty of time.
Okay, because I can try to explain it really quick.
Yeah.
Some of the people on our team were using this as an independent study, and we came up with the initial shape first because last year we did a similar project and it didn't really work. And this year we designed it to make sure that it worked, and then we themed it off of what it looked like.
Mm-hmm.
And the advisor for our independent study said it looked like the Lorenz Attractor. So we kind of that was like one of our ideas, and we all just thought it was the coolest, and it didn't have any IP, so we went with that one.
Well, a Pringles tie-in sponsorship would be pretty fun. Besides, making duck lips with potato chips, this is a new way to look at the concept. And I did appreciate the skateboarding idea because those of us who can't want to still experience that airtime and hang time of a ramp, and so that's pretty cool.
Allison, I will say it's very fair to take a ride, have it be engineered and functioning, and then later try to overlay some type of theme or story on it. It's a project that we actually do in the curriculum at Ringling College. We take an off-the-shelf ride system, maybe from Vekoma or some other manufacturer, and challenge the students with, well, what could this, be? What could this be about? And so that's not an unreasonable way to approach it. So keep going with that. Dave wants to jump in on this one. Dave, go for it. We have plenty of time, about 3.5 minutes.
Yeah, I talked about this with one of our projects yesterday. I actually think one of the best lessons that you've learned from this project, and one of the great results from this project, is the value and the importance on project management, project communication, project coordination. I think it is a piece that we sort of talk about in school, and you kind of are forced to do it sometimes, but there's a level of investigation here that was necessary to make this work. I mean, I love seeing your Gantt chart. I love seeing your decision matrices. Like, as I think a lot of people on this call will attest to, much to our chagrin, we spend an awful lot of our time in Microsoft Excel or Google Sheets. Like, it's just a reality that in order to organize a massive amount of information and really complicated information, you need a system to do that. And learning how to do that in school and applying it to a real project is really, really valuable. And I think it's no one ever puts an Excel sheet in their portfolio, but if you have a really beautiful one, I like to see it in your portfolio. Like, I think that's an amazing skill. And there are plenty of people who don't know how to use Excel, and I struggle to work with them sometimes on projects.
That's me.
because it's a super valuable skill. But it's a great way to stay organized. And those type of lessons about communication and coordination and organization are super valuable on projects like this.
Great.
Totally agreed. Okay. Well, in the interest of time, we are going to, we'll wrap on this one. Good job, Allison. Thank you for joining us, and congrats to your whole team. It is a big team. Great job coordinating that. As you heard from Aja earlier, it's challenging to coordinate a team, especially at the student level. So keep going. All right, let's jump forward.
Thank you.
Yes, let's jump forward to the Legend of Mothman. Anybody here from the team that created the Legend of Mothman?
Hey, Cass and I are here.
Hello. Well, yes. Joining us, Kyle and Cass. Let's jump in with Freddie. What do you think about this one?
Well, when it comes to presentation, that's often the biggest part of a project's moment. We get it all right, but the people who are going to pay for it and the people who are going to come through the line, the presentation is super important. And this team did a great job of pulling together. You mentioned the skills of the Excel wizard. The skills of the PowerPoint team is really, really very important, and they did a great job at doing that and bringing us through. The ride through again is on this project is just really fun, and it harkened back to a lot of the projects that, or the rides that we've been on that have those little surprises. Like, I love the deer in the headlights moment, and it's little something you're gonna flash by, but that was really impressive. Just the thinking through of the details and the placemaking to make it more than just encountering the Mothman, which is the highlight of your moment. The engineering and planning on this is just really, really well done. I could see us there with it. It's very familiar yet original in its idea and its concept. So I had a lot of fun on this one. Again, the storyboarding with the presentation, the storyboarding is really good. The ride through is really good. But once I've you know, seen the fireworks show, you want to draw us back into that. So I feel like this storyboard in this case especially should have come first before riding us through it. And that's just I think it's valuable for you kind of leave that beautiful moment where everybody goes, oh, that's how it all comes together. You know, the details on each slide is very, very helpful and full of information. But then show us how it all comes together in the everybody's experience. It's like the Apple presentation. Oh, and one more thing, and then they show you the big change, and that would have been great. Just altogether a fun experience.
Thanks, Freddie. Bob, what do you think?
Well, that was a great segue. I thought this was an excellent informed concept. And by that, I mean, there's a lot more knowledge that's being applied in the concept development than you might see in a typical concept development. So I refer to those things as informed concepts. I want to read a couple of things from my notes, and I felt the same way. The storyboard could have come before the ride-through animation to build the story before experiencing the ride. Fun descriptions and attention to detail. I couldn't find the link in the spreadsheets. You don't need to talk about that. The presentation is expertly assembled and the delivery is very high quality. One of the best submissions this year I've seen. With extra detail and quality comes some deeper comments. The use of the train and ride scenes is inconsistent as many of the guests will have the story experience and more thought needs to go into how the guest would see and interact with key story beats and characters such as the deer in the headlights or with Mothman. Those are such key moments. You want to have a bit more description about that and how that's going to be pulled off. More work needs to be done to excuse me. The scenes are very short, and when listening, the narratives seem much further apart and lack connective tissue or strong transitions. More work needs to be done to ensure a smooth show experience and that the story beats and action flow together in a compelling manner. It's just not a kind of a collection of those things, but how do they all flow together for a much bigger impact? The budget is way too low, even though I've not been doing this for many years now, for a comprehensive attraction of the nature of in today's market. Particularly the numbers for show sets, lighting, animatronics, special effects are woefully low. However, I found this really interesting. Your application is thorough. Appreciated the many angles you took to describe it. And overall, I think it was a well-rounded project presentation.
It's a great note about the budget, Bob. When I saw this, I thought, well, that seems like a 20-year-old budget number. We should just go ahead and add another 0 on the end of this, and now you're in the right neighborhood.
Right.
Alicia, what do you think?
Yeah, my key things were it was really thorough and very well-rounded. You know, there's two sides of this, as we've mentioned a few times now today, is around the pitch and how it's presented and around the concept and the creative ideas itself. So you've done a great job with the pitch with a few things, you know, people have suggested here. But I think there's I was impressed by the intentional placemaking. You want people to not look at their watch. You want people to be totally immersed in a narrative. And I thought you did a great job of seeing all of those, you know, points of view and areas that you could, you know, design and illustrate and theme to make it really feel interesting and like you were in a new place. So I thought it was really great. I was impressed, and I thought it was a really strong presentation.
Awesome. Okay, we have just a minute left. Do either of the project creators have any comments or questions?
I mean, definitely thank you for all the feedback. We'll definitely take that back to the rest of the team. I think, you know, everything definitely made sense in terms of, you know, presentation flow and getting the storyboards up in front of the ride through. You know, I think one of the things we struggled through in terms of the through line was like, connecting the scenes together is that this is a roller coaster. So it's like, how quickly can you tell those scenes and like keep people moving on the fast ride? So definitely love more insight into like, or we'll take that back and think more about how we can build that together. And then I was the owner of the budget, so I'll take the hit for that one and being off. I think, as students, one of the things we really run into is that no one wants to share the real numbers. So when we're putting stuff together like this, it's like, what can we find on ChatGPT and on the internet and on Reddit? And you're kind of piecing things together. So, again, if anyone has any insight into how we can better educate ourselves on how to get to those truer numbers, definitely all ears.
Yeah.
I think that'll come with experience, Kyle. It's definitely tough. We try to teach about the budget of these things, and we feel your same pain. So some of us with that experience can bring some anecdotal kind of numbers to the table, but it's challenging.
And as you move on, you will have others more experienced in cost estimating that will be helping you.
Awesome.
Absolutely.
Thank
All
you.
right. We're going to move things along here. Thank you, everybody, for that. Let's move on to Dada, an interactive exhibit. I know we have a few team members here. We have Dave, Ethan, Maha. Thank you guys for joining us. We appreciate it. Who wants to jump in on this one? I'll call on Alicia first.
Now I just think you're singling me out here. Is this? No, I thought this was really interesting. It's really exciting. The topic was really unique, and the story beats that brought us into the mind of the artist were really strong. So I felt like, overall, this could be brought into a professional setting. But again, I think my only critique was, why do I care? As I've mentioned before, and we've all mentioned, it's really just that why and that setup, linking questions to like what the final takeaway is and what is art. I loved where you were going with it. So I think just like that setup would be great, but I found this incredibly unique. And I wanted to see more. So that's always a good sign, right? But yeah, I'll let anybody else build on that. It was just really intriguing to me. I guess my mind was opened a little bit.
Yeah. I had a great time with this one, and I did a report on Dada in college, so I was like, ooh, I would love to go to this place because some of this same studies that I did draws me back and into a unique piece of art history, a portion of art history that people aren't really talking about or thinking about, and the ridiculousness of it. The renderings are beautiful, top-notch renderings. So just applause to the team for bringing us through it in that way, and then the thoughtfulness of bringing in those original artists and highlighting where it came from and how it happens. This from a marketing standpoint, you'd have to sell it to people, like Alicia mentioned, but because of some of those historic points and how it came out of, and even the humorous thing about the toilet art is like we sometimes need to ask those questions. And so it is more of a museum experience, and I've seen some pretty great museums that follow a flow similar to this. Speaking of flow, the only other, I feel like your site plan is all over the place. It might have worked for the walkthrough, but there's a ton of dead space that you may or may not have to work with, depending on the site where it ends up in. It might have been a good challenge to say, hey, let's say we've got a 6,000 square foot old box store type place that we want to put this in, and use those boundaries in order to then force your minds to think about how we really are going to take people through this path, how we fit this all in.
Yeah. Thanks, Freddie. Bob, what do you think?
Well, I totally concur with what Freddie just said. Yeah, and to maximize the guest experience, there needed to be some boundaries so that, that helped you weave the story together. I thought the theme was well presented. I thought the exterior of the Swiss house did not seem to represent the story as it was written. And then I too was thinking about it more as an exhibition, perhaps even a touring exhibition. So things like the approach to lighting, sound, technology would be needed to deliver that concept, especially if it was going to be transportable, or even if it were in a museum space. Those are things I think that would be important in delivering this idea. So I thought, in particular, better plan and volume definition of spaces would be great. Include guest flow and proposed experience timing and hourly capacity for this type of experience, I think would have been added value. And overall, I thought, I really liked it a lot.
That is a great note about hourly capacity. I do not believe that was, I'm not sure if that was an element of the assignment, but certainly could have been. We're going to add that. Thanks, Bob. Love it. Anybody else want to jump in on this one? Anybody from the student team here want to ask any questions or offer up any comments?
Well, first of all, I just want to say thank you all for your feedback. So I have to hold my mic.
Oh,
we lost you. We had you, but then we lost you. We got your appreciation. Thanks, Ethan.
Yeah, I just want to also say thank you for the feedback on this piece. I think definitely a lot of the stuff that you've mentioned, like it was all kind of outside of the scope of like the project itself that we were like assigned to do as like in the class time. So I think that a lot of those things, if we had just had, I think, the additional time to work on it, are definitely things we would have put more consideration into. And I things, especially when you talk about like space and like the looking at the map and leading through. I know like in the early stages when we were coming up with what rooms we wanted to have and how we wanted to tell this story, I think that was something that was getting us very like caught up. And we just didn't have the time to really like out all of those things and still have this project delivered on assignment date. But I think that all of us as a team, if we were to go back and flesh this out more, definitely things that we would focus on. So thank you.
Yeah. So Dave, just to add a comment on that, as you go on and get into this industry, schedule is always going to be, a nightmare for you because schedules are always usually, sometimes not, but usually always more aggressive than they possibly are. And depending on what it is you're creating, the complexities of weaving different things together into one continuity of a story, it often requires more time than project management would like to allow it. So I think, as you just described it, I think, that's a great experience to carry forward. And I appreciate you saying we just didn't have the time. Early on in my life, I felt like we never had the time. We built our first theme park in, barely 4 years, and we had to design it, and we'd never done that before, and there was never enough time and never enough money. Yet somehow we collaborated together to create something that started with a bit of a rocky road, but we sorted that out, and look what it became.
Absolutely. Maha, you have your hand up for a brief moment there. Did you want to jump in?
Oh, I mean, I will say like Dave and Ethan kind of pretty much got what I wanted to say. I do want to say thank you for the critique. This is one of those few projects that I've graduated, but looking back at it, this is one of my favorite projects, and I hold it very near and dear because of Dadaism in itself, because it's so chaotic, so crazy, and it as a movement that we felt like we could do anything with it, and the freedom of that was what attracted us. So thank you for the critiques, and I totally agree. Like time, I'm a project manager currently, so time is always, always, always never enough in any project I work on. But looking back at it, like I feel like this is one of those projects that's always going to be near and dear, and always I feel like we can always be like, oh, we can add this, oh, we can add that. So
Thank you, Maha. Freddie, your hand's up. Last word on this. And
Just really quick, the graphic design on this was excellent. Good job to Dave and Avery Frost. To integrate that into the project is really spectacular, and to take Dadaism and turn it into graphic design is another thing. So great job.
Avery is on the call. Hi, Avery. I'm sorry I didn't see you earlier. Thank you for joining us.
Thank you. Thank you for the feedback. It was very helpful, and it's really interesting to learn more about themed entertainment and using graphic design with themed entertainment. So thank you very much.
For the panelists on the call, this project is a collaboration between the entertainment design major and the graphic design major. And so that's why this shines in that area, because we brought in the pros for the graphic design.
Don't forget visual studies.
And yes, Maha, thank you for coming out on in. Collaboration for the win. All right, let's move forward to Le Carnaval Mystique. Anybody from that team here on the call today joining us?
Yes, I believe all three of us are here.
Beautiful. Well, thank you for joining us. And let's have Bob jump in first on this one. We'll give Alicia a break from going first.
I'll pass for a moment while I gather a few comments.
No worries. Freddie,
I can actually jump in. Don't worry.
All right, Alicia's got it.
Happy to start. I was really intrigued by this and impressed. My, first comment was I would be happy to show a client work at this level. I felt like you really outlined it nicely and it was detailed enough. I felt like as you mentioned, it was really well-rounded in the points of view and how you kind of thought through the story. Yeah, is there more below if you scroll down? I'm trying to remember what this looks like. How you looked at audience, addressing look and feel overall, then getting down into the nitty-gritty details is just a great way of presenting. And you just went so far into it. It was really believable, and I was with you the whole time. So I was really impressed by this, and was absolutely ready to show this and to a client. I think it's client ready, so it's great.
Yeah. So I really I thought all of that was absolutely correct. Just a few kind of mechanical comments. Avoid clustering program immediately upon entering. And the plan doesn't really address guests who may be spending time outside the attraction. They're buying things or walking about into space, or there's time before the show and people are mingling. So that's all part of the experience, and that could, I thought, be improved in this. And so I put that all in my area development bucket, which is, hardscape, landscape, lighting, sound in the environment, because that's like the pre-show in this particular case. The ideas about backstage, you don't have a lot of experience about that, but all of that becomes very, very important as well.
Yep. Yeah, the back of house could really have been developed and given everything that it needs. I think overall, echoing Alicia, this is a project to present. It's ready, and it's ready in the storytelling and the thought through elements of it. You're also hitting on, it's very popular, the horror genre and that surprise. So, I see this as a older kids and adults experience that really does draw on what people are looking for today. I mean, think about the dark universe at Epic Universe. That's the thing people are most excited about. Maybe Mario. And it's just I like Alicia said, drawn in from the beginning and didn't want it to end, and saw myself looking for it and going to it and looking for the scares and the creepy factor is really great.
Awesome. All great feedback. Beautiful presentation. Very, very well done. Very polished. I think there's a great use of AI this early in concept development. That's what it's for at this point. Like, it really helps you tell your story and set the mood. We have a few more minutes left on this one. Does anybody from the student team want to jump in with any questions or comments?
No questions right off the top of my head, but yeah, again, thank you so much for giving your time and looking through this. We had a lot of fun working on this during the school year and then working on this after class is over. Kyle and I went over to Kyle's house and having the time to kind of film and work together and kind of learn other skill sets that weren't involved with the class was really fun. Yeah, thank you so much for your time.
I don't think I have any questions
I
either,
think-
but just wanted to echo again, thank you so much for your time and taking a look through this and your feedback. And yeah, definitely we'll think more about how to activate that space outside the attractions. And we tried to show the backstage a little bit, but I think, yeah, it's still something that there's more room to grow and educate ourselves there.
Well, room to grow is, what your forest is all about. You've got lots of space there to deal with if it came to fruition. But yeah, get some data on path sizes and how landscape architecture could really help give you the space that you need, because people are going to come up in costume and they're not going to want to leave. They're going to want to stand around and talk and have the fun pastries and drinks that go with it and live this fantasy.
Yeah, I love that idea of kind of treating this. I think there was one concept yesterday that was kind of referred to as like a Ren Fair, like maybe having that sort of aspect to it where it can be a lived-in space as well for people to experience.
Yep.
Yeah, and we had a lot of fun kind of thinking of longevity of how do we kind of make events throughout the year that's a little bit more seasonal, or how do we keep getting guests to come back, and having those kind of seasonal Ren Fair-esque events was definitely a fun part of the planning.
That's great. And Kyle, I noticed on the budget on this one, you have 9 digits in there. That seems like you're in a better neighborhood.
Well, that's for everything. And I think the roller coaster might now just be that entire budget based on the feedback on Mothman. So the number may need to go up a little bit.
Inflation, everything costs more these days.
Right.
Yes, it does.
All right. Well, thank you everybody for this one. We're gonna go ahead and jump forward to the Kingdom of Avalar. Awesome. Let's see. Do we have anybody from this team here today? A lot of entries from Purdue. Thanks, Chris. Thank you to Christian Rogers for pushing his students to submit. Anybody from this team here today? Jenna, Nicole, Rihanna? No. Okay, good. Well, let's move forward. This is being recorded, so hopefully they'll catch this later. Who wants to start on this one?
Concept. Oh, go ahead.
Go ahead, Freddie.
Concept-wise, the idea of the mystical beasts, it's a running a kingdom is really fun. I have ideas sparked by what the guest interactions would be in that. I mean, when we start from here, I think my main comment was it's a seed of an idea. It's the beginning of an idea, and I think that it takes some effort to get it to the point where it's before it's worthy of presenting in a situation like this. So there's a lot there. There's a lot there as far as idea, but not a lot there as far as execution.
Yeah, I felt the same. I thought, love the idea that we're touching on here. There's a great opportunity for like fandom and super fans, engaging with community. Those are really big touch points, and especially right now. So, I feel like there's a big chance here. But I wanted to see more about how guests interact with the theme spaces around them, and kind of what happens. I felt like we just scratched the surface here. So, wanted to know more about like what we're doing, what the guest is doing here. So, but it's interesting.
Excellent. Bob, any thoughts on this one? Sorry, Bob, you're muted.
I agree with both Alicia and Freddie. I like the concept and the mythical nature of it, and It's not an unfamiliar place, but there's always room for something new and engaging. I sort of likened this, flashing back some time ago. One of my early concepts for our first earthquake attraction, which when we built it in Hollywood, added $1 million a year in attendance, were done on the back of cocktail napkins at Jason's in Toluca Lake. And I actually kept those cocktail napkins. It's amazing. But one napkin sort of laid out the premise. The next napkins kind of started diagramming the plan, and the next napkin had a scene. And of course, there was some water stains and everything else. But this concept made me reflect back on that experience of my own that I had that ultimately became something pretty great.
It's great that you saved those cocktail napkins, Bob. Sometimes I feel like we need a museum of the history of themed entertainment.
Yeah, I mean, we all really have them, if even only in our mind, but so many of us back in the day, I mean, when we started our park and everything, when we started in the early 80s, we barely had mobile phones and we didn't have computers at the time. So I'm dating myself big time here.
This project somewhat reminds me of The Lost Continent.
Oh, yes, exactly.
Kind of, it's original IP and it's fantastical and mythical, and maybe we can bring back a Dueling Dragons coaster.
Yeah, that's great. Great, Jamie.
Okay, anybody else? Any last thoughts for Kingdom of Avalara? All right, well, we're going to wrap this one short, and that puts us back on time to move forward to the next segment of our meeting, which is going to be hosted and emceed by the amazing Freddie Martin. We're going to get into the awards ceremony.
Awesome. Well, it's very exciting. Welcome to the ceremony. I hope you've all got your tuxedos on in your hearts. It's so exciting to share with you guys where the judges, where they took things and what they caught on with and what got them excited. We're really impressed. And as you know, if you've seen The Matrix, we're judging on 5 different categories, and each one of those we give a score of 5 to, and so a perfect score would be 5 of 5, and it took a lot of work to get that down and find our individually. It takes a lot to think through and go through each one of these, but we were so excited by our winners, so I want to share that with you now. And pause for a moment. Oh, Nate, can you give me permissions? Make me the guy.
Let's see if I can. I think maybe
Or
Jamie
the guy
needs
behind
to
the
do it.
guy. Behind the other guy.
Jamie, can you give him permissions?
All right, here we go. All right, welcome to the Themed Attraction Student Showcase. Some great projects here, and we've got a second runner-up and a first runner-up and a best in show that we're going to share with you. But first, let's go through the honorable mention. First up, honorable mention for originality is Wilderhaven, University of Central Florida. We have some snaps there. Oh, I'll give you some applause even. And also for originality is Mintfolia. For originality, Singapore University of Technology and Design. Next up, for storytelling, honorable mention to Wilderhaven, University of Central Florida. Then also for storytelling, like Carnival Mystique. Really enjoyed that one from Purdue University. Oops, my applause was short. Here, go again. I'm not just playing people off with the music like the Oscars. For placemaking.
We're not hearing that applause. I'm not sure if we're not hearing your audio, but
Oh, you're not hearing my applause. Oh
no.
Oh, rats. Well, I can hear it. I feel all excited. Wilder Haven for placemaking, University of Central Florida. For placemaking, The Legend of Mothman, Purdue University. Then for guest narrative, The Legend of Mothman, lots of applause there for Purdue. Then Wilder Haven for guest narrative, honorable mention, University of Central Florida. The Legend of Mothman for industry ready. You heard that echoed by Purdue University. Congratulations. Then for industry ready as well is Viking Voyage by Ringling College of Art and Design. Big applause there. For use of technology, Vulcania Apothecary. Nice house. You try saying it. Vulcania Apothecary, honorable mention for use of technology with Cal Poly Pomona. And our last honorable mention for use of technology, Virtual Disneyland Resort Minecraft Project, San Jose State University. Congratulations. Now for our best in show, this is the beginning of the 3 that got the highest scores, and we're just, in love with the way these projects came through, and you can tell by the scores that these really had all around value to them. The all around scores for these are mean something. It means that the project was complete. It had a lot to it, and it gave us our judges something to think about and to push us through and push us forward. So our second runner-up in the Best in Show category is Red Triangle Retreat by Chelsea Coe at Ringling College of Art and Design. Congratulations, Chelsea. Are you on the call? If you are, we'd like you to give an acceptance moment if you've got it. Is Chelsea on the call?
Hello. Thank you guys so much. Wow. This is awesome. I really appreciate it. I'm super pleased to know that it scored really well. I really put my all into this project. This was a year-long project and it was for my senior thesis. So yeah, I'm super proud.
Great job. You scored 4.38. So spectacular score. Great job.
That's awesome. Thank
Congratulations.
you. Thank you.
Next up is our Best in Show first runner-up with a score of 4.46. It's Journey of the Gods, Domenica Calaro, Glenbrook South High School Science and Engineering Learning Community. Congratulations. And if you'd like to say anything, we'd love to cheer you on. Congratulations.
Yeah, thank you so much. It's been truly an honor to participate, and I've loved seeing everyone's projects and hearing the amazing feedback and getting to know everyone in the industry. And I'm just really thankful and grateful I was able to be a part of it. Thank you.
You're welcome. Give you a hand.
You're off to a great start.
Definitely. And our Best in Show with a whopping score of 4.88 and a project that really gave everybody something to think about, and very well-rounded in all aspects of the program. And we're thrilled to give the themed attraction student showcase Best in Show to Hidden Gems, Maggie Tagger, University of Cincinnati College of Design, Architecture, Art, and Planning. Maggie, are you on the call to give us your acceptance speech? Congratulations. Oh, she might not be. Mimi raised her hand. Are you accepting the award on her behalf?
No, I think I meant to clap instead. My bad.
Well, good clapping. It looks like she's not on, but fantastic work from everybody who participated. We're just thrilled with the projects that were here. will be sharing these results on themedattraction.com. Congratulations to each and every one of you for the hard work and the beautiful experiences that we got to share with you. So congratulations.
Amazing work, everyone.
Bravo.
Awesome. Congratulations to everyone. Thank you all for participating. Thanks again to our panelists, Bob, Alicia, Frank, Freddie, and also to Lewis, who provided feedback. Students, please check your email. I believe Nate or Jesse may be emailing out your feedback sheets with all your score and your comments. So take a look at that. Don't forget to connect with everybody on LinkedIn and keep this great community going and thriving. And to all the students out there, keep going, keep creating. Thank you all for your time today.